Alright, this is John Black, Super Chemist. I forgot about these two charts, so I'm going to do these two charts on the global warming. I'm going to talk about 5 facts or 5 ways they lie, so that you can fight their lies. The first chart is this one right here. We're talking about polar caps or glacier shortening. It actually begins in 1825, okay? Here's 1900, the halfway point, because that's like 200 years ago. 1825, 2025, 2020, 2025. That's 200 years exactly, okay? Before we started making any CO2, we got this trend, right? This is 1900. Remember, that's when we started making CO2. Then Model T was mass produced in 1909 or 1910 or something like that. That's when we started having factories. No change in the trend though. The trend of melting just stays the same, like almost like CO2 doesn't affect it. But then in 1950, right here, that's when we, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times the CO2 output. During and after World War II, you got jets, you got rockets, you got cars and factories being, wow, it's crazy. And yet the trend of melting stays the same. Almost like CO2 does not affect it any way, shape, or form. Obviously, because it does not. Then we go to this chart. Okay, and this chart was by Orlemans J, 2005, extracting a climate signal from 169 glacier records. 169, and that's the book he wrote or whatever. Anyways, here's the next one. Global sea levels, millimeters. You can notice, remember, 1825 was when the glaciers started melting in that. And what is it, 1850, where the sea levels go up, start going up, and notice how it's the same trend. It's the opposite, but it's the same rate. Like this going up is the same exact rate that the thing was going down, right? The glaciers was melting at the same rate that this is going up, because they correspond, right? The more you melt, the more the oceans rise, right? But you can see it's, again, 100 years before we even started making CO2. And then 50 years after that, we 10 times, 20 times, 100 times make the CO2 we were making in 1950, 1940 and after. And yet still no trend, no change in the trend. None. Okay, so the 5 things I wanted to go over is that they lie about, and you need to whatever. First I'm going to list the 5 things, and then we'll go over them individually. 1. There is global warming. No one is debating that. 2. There is global warming, but it is a good thing. 3. CO2 does not cause global warming or control the temperature. It's the other way around. Temperature affects CO2. 4. CO2 has negligible or zero effect as a greenhouse gas at 1 atmosphere, which is what we have on Earth, and at 0.04% concentration of CO2. 5. 100%, not 99, 100% of climatologists agree with me. And the only ones who disagree are politicians, activists, and physicists. Or scientists that aren't climatologists that I see doing videos. And number 6, I think was it. So let's go over these individually. Number 1, there is global warming. Did you ever notice? I see these, like, you'll have millions of videos on YouTube, right? 15, 20, 30 minutes long, an hour long, trying to prove that global warming is real. And we on the other side, meaning me, are just crazy nutjob idiots. Why do they do that? Nobody thinks that global warming isn't happening. Not one person. I'm as far on the other side of the climate crazies as you can be. You can't be further than me. Okay? No one is further than me. And even I say, yeah, there's global warming happening. And I showed you charts proving it. I mean, yeah, it's happening. Yeah, just like weather. Yeah. Weather goes up, it gets hot. Sometimes it gets cold. Just like the climate. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. Right now it's going up. Last 10,000 years ago, 11.7 thousand years ago, we just came out of the Little Ice Age, the coldest period in the last 700 million years since snowball Earth. You know what I mean? Of course, if it's the coldest point, we only have one. We can't get any colder. If it got any colder, then that Little Ice Age wouldn't be the coldest point in history, would it? So obviously we're going up, right? There's only way when you're at the bottom. There's only one way to go, and that's up, right? No one is. Why do they do that then? Why are they arguing? Why do they have millions of videos proving that global warming is happening? It's called deflection, right? It's called deflection. It's like them calling you racist, transphobic. You're a misogynist. When someone doesn't have a argument, they do this. Okay? They call you names. They invoke God, right? If you have an argument and God is telling you that argument, you should never have to invoke God, because if God told you the plan or told you the information, it's going to be rock solid. It's going to be logical, right? So you would never have to invoke God. They only do that when they have no argument, no logical recourse. So they have to call you names. They have to say, no, God says this. It doesn't matter how illogical it is. God said to do it, so we got to do it. It's the same way with the global warming, right? They can't argue the real argument, which is that CO2 does not affect global warming, does not affect the temperature. That is what we are saying. Unless, okay, and I'll get into that later. So no one is arguing that. They just bring that up. And so don't watch videos about, oh, there's global warming, you better believe it. Because no one's disagreeing. That's just propaganda, okay? Nobody disagrees with that. We're just saying that global warming is happening, but it's good. See, that's the argument. They're saying global warming is happening and it's bad, okay? We can prove that global warming is good. They can't prove global warming is bad, so they deflect and they try to change the argument into, we are saying that there is no global warming and they are. That is not the argument, okay? Don't let them deflect and change the argument when the argument that they're claiming does not exist. Everyone believes in global warming. Everyone. No one not one person, unless they're insane, disagrees, okay? So why are you arguing about it? Why are you throwing up a million videos about it? No one's disagreeing. We're just saying that they're good. Like forest fires, right? If you have global warming, right, that means the oceans are going to heat up. They're going to evaporate a lot more water into the air and make the air more moist, right? How is that going to help forest fires? It's not. You're going to have more dampness. You're going to have more rain. You're going to have more humidity. So that's all those things, humidity, rain, all that stuff fights forest fires. We want that. You know what I mean? That's good, right? Same way with droughts. Like if it's hot, like they act like I'm in PA, so it's 80 degrees hottest most of the time. It gets to 90 sometimes. Don't get me wrong, but 80 degrees is mostly the hottest, So even if the globe went up 5 degrees, so what? Now the hottest time during the summer is going to be 85 degrees, and that's going to make a desert. No, it's not going to make a desert, but you know what it is going to make? It's going to make a lot more water in the air, making more rain, making it more moist, making it, less droughty. You know what I mean? You want water in the air so it can rain on these deserts and get rid of the deserts. You know what I mean? Can't you just use like some kind of logical thing? You can't say that global warming is going to make more floods and it's also going to make more droughts. It's not possible. Okay, they're opposites, right? Same way with like crops. Crops like warm. The warmer that data shows, the warmer it gets, the more crops we have, man. They love warm air. They love it. They love a greener. It makes a greener earth. Everything. And I'm not saying because it's getting warmer, like for tornadoes and cyclones and hurricanes, I'm not saying it's getting warmer and therefore these things are going down, but they are going down. Just because they're happening together doesn't mean they're correlated, though. Okay? But all of these things, forest fires, hurricanes, cyclones, tornadoes, floods, droughts, ocean water rise, crops, greener earth, they're all better than they were 100 years ago or 200 years ago or wherever. All you have to do is pull up these charts individually and look at them. And you will see they go up and down, but that up and downness stays in the same range and follows a horizontal path. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really get better or worse. It just goes up and down within that same range. And right now, we are either on the downward part of it or that we are at like floods. We are at a record low right now for floods. Record low. I don't even know how that's possible since we're melting the glaciers and that. But yeah, there's floods is a record low from the recorded history. You know what I mean? Yeah, global warming makes everything better. Everything better. Makes crops bigger. Makes CO2 makes everything better too. CO2 makes crops bigger, and that's basically all CO2 does. But it makes the crops bigger. So, and then the third thing I said, the CO2. You know, CO2 does not cause global warming. We know because in the last 150 years, CO2 has skyrocketed and temperature has flatlined, basically. There is a slight trend going upwards, but it's basically at a flat line. And we showed also that on these cores, these data where they show 800,000 years, when you look into the data and you look into the papers that are written by these people who pulled those ice cores, like the Vostok ice cores or all the Greenland ice cores, all the ice cores, they put papers and write books about what they found in the data. If you go into that, you will see that they always say that the CO2 is after the temperature changes. First the temperature changes, then the CO2. In all core samples, no matter where you get them, they all say the same thing. The only reason it seems like it correlates in the last 800,000 years is because all the mechanisms like shellfish or volcanoes or humans, no mechanism was there. They all stopped 800,000 years ago. And that's why they correlate now, because temperature correlates to temperature if no other mechanisms are there, because the hotter it is, the more CO2 is going to be in the air, man. And the more water will be in the air. But anyways, where am I at now? And that's why the last 100 years CO2 went. You got another mechanism in the pot, right? And that's why it changed from the last 800,000 years. Everything was correlating. Now they don't. CO2 went up big time, and temperature did not. And number 4 was CO2 has negligible or zero effects. Yes, I want you to understand. Even though I might say, it has zero effects, I've said that several times. I don't actually mean it has zero effects. I mean it has negligible effects that are so negligible that you might as well call it zero. See, this is another thing that they do to deflect. No one is arguing that CO2 is a greenhouse gas. No one, not even me. Not even me. If you throw one molecule of CO2 in an atmosphere, it will have greenhouse gas effects. I'm not saying it won't. Although I know in previous videos I said it will not make any, difference in temperature. Yes, it will make a difference. But the only thing is the difference it makes. Like if I throw one CO2 molecule into the Earth's atmosphere, right? The difference it will make is at 0.0000000000001 degree every million years. Okay? So, or every billion years. So at that point, can I say, if it only affects that little, can I say it has zero effects, even though it really does have some effects? But I would say it's zero effects. The same way at 0. 0.04%. I'd say it has zero effects at that point.